duty is second only to military service in terms of its importance to our country. And I think it's important as these juries are out deliberating that everybody, not just the lawyers, but our local officials, all the way up to the very top, we can only hope that everyone will avoid making any comments while the jury is deliberating that might consciously or unconsciously influence their decision-making process. Everyone's worked really hard for a long time now. A lot of you have been working hard. I'm not the only person who's exhausted here. And we certainly want to make sure that this process comes to a proper conclusion. So I hope that everyone will respect that we don't need to be doing or saying anything right now that might interfere with the deliberative process of this jury.
Do you plan to file an appeal based on possibly the verdict?
An appeal? We're going to win. I don't know what y'all are talking about. Roddie's walking out of that courthouse today.
Mr. Gough, why would a citizen's arrest be applicable in this case when we know the defendants didn't actually see a crime committed that was established in court?
Okay.
Why would a citizen's arrest be applicable?
You know I'm not going to get into that discussion while the jury's out. The lawyers have made their arguments. Three lawyers made very capable presentations to the court about citizen arrest. I think you got to hear all that, and the jury's deciding what to do with it. I'm not going to comment on that, but thank you for asking.
Can you share with us anything your client has said going into deliberations? Anything from William Bryan at all?
Mr. Bryan reminded me this morning that he needed to go to the bathroom, so we made sure that he got a break.
You had a lot of bathroom breaks as well.
I have a lot of bathroom breaks. You're absolutely right. And when you're my age, you probably will too.
How's Roddie feeling going into this afternoon?
This is the first jury trial Roddie's ever been a part of. So, you know, and truthfully, there are a lot of times where it'd be hard for anybody with his background to follow all the niceties of the law. But I think he's worked really hard to be attentive and to understand the process. We've certainly worked hard to make sure that he does. I think the court has worked hard, and I think you saw that during the trial at various times to make sure that Roddie and the other people on trial understood what was going on. And we're very appreciative of that.
There's a lot of pressure here. I mean, obviously, everyone here is
pressure.
People's lives are at stake here.
Well, if there's no pressure on the lawyers, win or lose, we go home. The pressure's on the clients, you know, and I feel for the Arbery family. This has been an ordeal for them. You know, some of this testimony and the evidence presented about their son has been graphic. And, you know, we try to make sure that nothing happens in the courtroom that will interrupt or interfere with the proceedings. But to be a mother and to see that stuff up there about your son and to hear it, it's got to be tough. And for Marcus Sr., it's also got to be tough. And, you know, the problem for the lawyers is we're focused. We get tunnel vision for our client, you know. But there's a lot more going on here than just them. And they're the ones most greatly immediately impacted. But this family's waited a long time to have their day in court. We don't know what justice looks like in this case for them. But, you know, we don't want to lose sight of the fact that they're human beings too. And this is a big day. This has been a big month for a lot of people, not just the clients and not just their lawyers.
Given your concerns outside the courthouse, why not ask for the jury to be sequestered?
Well, the research shows that jurors do not like sequestration, and they tend to take it out on the defendants. And that has been the better practice for at least a decade, is not to sequester the jurors if there's any alternative. The reality is, the assumption is that that's something that's being asked for by the defense. So generally speaking, when you go to seminars on big cases, the prevailing wisdom is not to sequester the jury. Now, will that decision prove to be the right decision in this case? Time will tell. But you can imagine how difficult it is to serve as a juror, as it is in a small town, and then to be sequestered. That's asking, you know, if this were a 2 or 3 day trial, it'd be one thing, but to ask jurors to be sequestered for weeks on end, that's particularly going into the holidays, that's asking for a lot. So I'm not second guessing the decision not to sequester the jury. The idea is that we should be able to provide these defendants a fair trial without having to impose that kind of burden on the jurors. And we'll see as it turns out how these things work out. And I'm not questioning or second guessing anybody else's decision. This judge has worked really hard. I think you all know he's entered like 100 Rule 22 orders for y'all in this case. He's worked really hard to make sure that everybody is treated properly. And while we don't always agree with the decisions that are made, we very much respect them. All right, one last question, and then I got to go.
You waited a while to file that motion to sever. You talked about it for a while. Why did you wait so long?
Really until the last day of the trial. And the evidence that was presented, without going into the details of that, really until the charge conference on Friday, it wasn't really clear how things were going. And you know, we do what we feel we need to do at the time. We file the motion, the court's rule, we move on. You know, no use looking back. What we're doing is looking forward, and we're looking forward to Roddie Bryan coming home this afternoon with his family. Thank you. Thank y'all.